Hello and welcome to Attacking Third, a CBS Sports soccer podcast. I'm Sandra Herrera, lead NWSL writer for CBS Sports. Joined today, as always, by my colleague and co-host, Lisa Roman, NWSL analyst and broadcaster. On today's episode, we have a special interview ahead of the NWSL Championship. But first, a quick reminder to follow us on Twitter at Attacking Third. Also, you can head on over to our YouTube page and hit subscribe so that you don't miss any great NWSL highlights. Head on over to youtube.com/Attacking Third. On today's episode, we're joined by Sandra Woldmoe, Chicago Red Stars, midfielder, the goal scorer in the semifinal versus Portland Thorns, and now a championship finalist. Welcome to the show, Sarah. How are you doing?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. I get to talk to you about the Chicago Red Stars being in the NWSL Championship. First of all, congratulations in order. Fantastic playoff run. A little bit of a different format this year, right? For NWSL playoffs, there included a quarterfinal series and then a semifinal series. And now there's one more in front of you all. How are you feeling? Let's start with a very simple question to kick things off. How are you feeling post quarterfinal victory, post semifinal victory against the Portland Thorns?
I mean, feeling great today. That's for sure. You mentioned the quarterfinal and semifinal. I love it. I love the grind of that. And, I think it just opens it up and opens up the league a bit and expands it. And I love that. And so I think it's just much more rewarding when you do win those games. You're sitting a day after and it feels good and it's on to the next one.
You mentioned it opens it up a little bit because it was tight. It was really tight. This regular season, even the very last day of the regular season, that's when a lot of the playoffs were determined. Does it make it trickier heading into a playoffs with a quarterfinal and a semifinal, knowing that really any team you're going to face is going to be really big competition?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, by now in this league, we all know that every team is good. Every team has players, every team has a style that they're really good at, especially by the end of the season when you've kind of perfected what you're trying to do. So it was, no surprise that it came down to the wire at the end of the season. And then going into the playoffs, yeah, like you said, it was just whoever we were going to face. We knew that we had to be very well prepared.
Take me back to Sunday, semifinal match. You're playing away at Providence Park, not an easy place to play, and against the number one team, Portland Thorns. Second half for you, Chicago at this point up 1-0 in the game. Ball is being passed around the outside of the 18-yard box. Morgan Gattrall, she gets it. She finds you in the center of the field, right outside the 18. You receive the ball. What goes through your mind before you take that shot?
It's one of those times where it's like, should I just hit it? I was like, yeah, I'm just going to hit it. It was a decent touch, and I just felt like I could get enough on it to at least head towards, a part of the net that I think it would have hit. So I just kind of went for it and went in.
Did you know it was going in when it left your foot?
I knew it had a good chance, and it was kind of like bending out a tiny bit. And so I knew that was going to kind of give the goalkeeper a little bit of trouble. And I think she got a finger on it. But not a whole hand, I think. So, yeah.
So humble, not braggadocious about one of the biggest bangers in the playoffs at all. That's nice. But let's maybe dive into it just a little bit more. Is you and your role in this midfield for Chicago in this playoff stretch? You had the assists on Mallory Pugh's goal in the quarterfinal. Now you have a goal in the semifinal. It's your third goal of the year. You came to Chicago as part of a very large midfield core, right? There's a ton of midfielders for Chicago who are, many can argue, are starting caliber. And I remember you and I chatting a little bit earlier this season about your game and how what you bring to the Red Stars and how you can maybe just get a toe in there and just sort of go and just sort of take players on 1v1 if you can. And for the Red Stars this year, the midfield has sort of really had to take this persona on of just sort of both attacking and or defending kind of as a unit, as a midfield unit. So in terms of the attacking side of things for Chicago this year, especially in the playoffs here, how would you feel the attacking side of your game has kind of developed within the midfield?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, I'm just always looking to help in the attack in any way that I can. I think more so than not being like a true six right now I think that I'm a little bit more focused on the defensive side of things, but I personally love to attack. I used to play attacking mid in high school, and back with club and stuff like that. So I do love to get up there and get around the 18. There's just a freedom being around the 18 with the ball and not having to worry quite as much about losing it up there as you do, I guess, around your own 18. But so just trying to help in any way that I can. And when I'm called upon and when I am up there, just giving it my best.
This season, your first with Chicago, you were traded last December from Gotham, which was then Sky Blue. And now with this Red Stars team, you're headed to the NWSL Championship. But as at like a big picture level, how was this year with you being in Chicago, playing with this group of players, being coached by Rory Dames, really encompassing everything that this year gave you? How was it?
I think for me this year, it was a challenge in every way. I think internally, like you said, the midfield group is just on this team is just so good. So to be able to just be a part of that group, starting, getting minutes, doing what I can to help, like I said, has been a challenge and a good one. I think it's pushed me. I think Rory has pushed me in ways that I think my game needed to be pushed. Which has helped me on the field. And I think that, coming into this team, I knew so many players on this team, and we've talked about that before. And so I think overall that helped me come in and be really comfortable right away as well. And just be able to, be challenged, but also feel comfortable at the same time. The balance of those two has kind of led to where we are now.
Maybe to follow up on that real quickly, talking about this midfield unit, there's been some rotation in it throughout this year, but Morgan Gautrat has been like a real constant in that sort of middle third. Can you speak about just sort of having that familiarity with her, going back all the way to the U20s in 2012 and sort of seeing the progression and the development between the two of you in this particular season? Because you two have really just sort of been operating kind of like yin and yang, just a real midfield compadre right there, right next to you, just sort of, running things and running the show. And you both had fantastic matches in the semifinal. How has that familiarity sort of helped her, or has there been maybe some new developments in the growth of the relationship between the two of you on the pitch?
Yeah, for sure. I think, like you said, going back, the 2012 U20 World Cup, I think really solidified that unity that we possess on the field. And I think, Vanessa was obviously a part of that as well. And it's funny, we talked about a little bit how, we went through a period of time then of not talking as much, just being on different teams, and now being on the same team again to be able to reunite and play again together and kind of form that relationship and friendship again off the field, I think has helped on the field. There's definitely, you can see the trust, the understanding between Mo and I think as kind of 2 sixes right now. And so I think that relationship definitely helps us. Every minute that we're on the field.
Let's look ahead a little bit to the big game right in front of you. Chicago's going to be facing off against Washington Spirit. This is a team that you guys faced off against in the regular season, and they did not get the better of you. Chicago walking away the winners in those. And so there's been this similar thread that's been echoed throughout all of the clubs that have participated in this NWSL playoffs, where it doesn't matter what happened in the regular season, that there's a bit of a reset button that is hit. So just sort of looking perhaps maybe at the playoff form, because both you and the Spirit are the two teams that had to compete in that extra quarterfinal round. What are your perspectives on this Washington Spirit side in their current form as you get ready to go up against them in the championship?
Yeah, I think like you said, I don't think that we can really look back during season and predict what the outcome of the game is going to be like based off of those games. I think that if you look at their last, 7 or 8 performances, they're on a roll. They're in form. They've figured out their style and what they want to do and how they want to look. And I think that's probably most dangerous at this point of the year, especially with a season being this long. If you can find form and you can, find that groove that you can get into of winning games, then you're definitely dangerous and you're a threat. And so I think for us, we're just going to have to, come as prepared as we possibly can and ready to go because of that, because of knowing how in form they are.
And not just Washington. You guys are in form yourself for Chicago. We talked a little bit about the midfield unit and you working with them, but another group on the Chicago team that's found some success this year, the forward group between Kaylee Watt, Rachel Hill, Katie Johnson, Mallory Pugh, Mackenzie Doniak. Those players producing for this Chicago team. How have you seen those forwards, maybe as a group, find that rhythm, find that consistent play each game throughout this season?
Yeah, I love that. I love that you mentioned that, because it's been so neat to just be behind that group and to watch them develop and progress throughout the season. And they've had some moments of, struggle, just like all of our lines have had moments of struggle throughout the season. And I think that to see them, take almost one step back, but then take almost 3 steps forward, I feel like in some games, both individually and collectively as a group, has been fantastic. And yeah, I think that they're in form, and it's just one of those things where we can have any of them step on the field and be confident in who we're putting on the field. And yeah, it's just been so much fun to see them progress and to be able to play with them. It's been awesome.
It's been a grind this season, and it's been sort of for both of these teams, both the Spirit and Chicago, to sort of see the 3rd ranked team and then the 4th ranked team having to play that quarterfinal, and those 2 teams being the ones not going at it in the championship final. We've sort of been closing out these player interviews during the playoffs, Sarah, with maybe like a bit of fun. So I hope you'll humor us a little bit. I guess this is the first time we're going to do maybe like a championship version of this. We've been asking a lot of the players who've been coming on with us about their process, right, in terms of prepping for a big game like that. And we've asked if there's anything in terms of something special that you have to go through, in terms of like maybe there's like a meal that you have to have, or a favorite post-game snack that you've got to go to when you are preparing for a big game.
Ooh, yeah, that's a great question. I'm like a huge sweet potato girl. So nice. I would say leading up to the game, as long as I have some sort of like sweet potato, probably the day before or 2 or 3 days before, I could have sweet potato every day. So I think that's probably my main thing.
Do you have like a sweet potato mash, or like sweet potato French fries, or like what's your favorite form of sweet potato?
Good question. Honestly, all the above. I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. So it kind of just depends on, I guess, my mood, or I guess what I'm having with it. But are
you ever like a baked sweet potato with like brown sugar type of person?
Oh yeah. I actually, this is kind of strange, but I actually like putting peanut butter on like a baked sweet potato.
Okay.
It's kind of strange and out there, but it's pretty good.
That actually sounds like delightful, and actually makes a lot of sense with the protein like aspect to that.
Yeah.
Like that's like,
it makes sense, because the brown sugar usually you put on the sweet potato and it's sweetness. Peanut butter has that sweetness in it. So yeah. I've never had that. I'm not going to say it's crossed my mind, but hey, Sarah, maybe I will try it because you suggested it.
That's the other part of it too. Like it's maybe a selfish question for us, because we've been listening and be like, well, maybe we'll try that now that they've suggested it. I love that. With the championship being in Louisville, one of the big things that you have discussed and that we have discussed in your return or your return to the Midwest has been joining up with the Chicago Wrestlers, because it's local for you as a Fort Wayne, Indiana native. With the championship being in Louisville, are there going to be friends and family attending this game? Are you excited that it's maybe a little bit of a closer drive?
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely had some family already reach out and book their hotels. And yeah, my parents were like, we'll see you in Louisville, like right away. So I'm very, very excited to be in the Midwest and to have the final in the Midwest, and to know it's only a couple hour drive from, my home in Indiana. It's all the more sweeter. It's awesome.
Well, best of luck in the championship final. We want to thank everybody for listening. Sarah, thank you for joining, and congrats once again on making it to the NWSL Championship. Reminder to everyone to catch Sarah and the Chicago Red Stars against Washington Spirit as they battle out for the title on Saturday, November 20th. Coverage starts at 11:30 a.m. on Paramount Plus, and we'll be back Friday with the NWSL Championship preview for Sandra Herrera, Lisa Roman, and Sarah Woldmoe. This was attacking third.